Hey guys, Epsy here. Today we're going to talk about Soul Worker Online. Soul Worker is a third-person action MMO being developed by Lion Games. It is currently being published by Han Games and is only available in Japan as of this moment. The story revolves around a group of kids who unlock their hidden powers as the world around them collapses. Alright, with the introductions out of the way, let's start talking about the game. First things first, this game is heavily story-driven. As soon as you create your character and you click start, you're introduced to the cutscene, and from there on out, you're pretty much slammed with plot left and right. Now, I know this sounds a lot like other MMOs where they always start you with a cutscene and you're introduced to this brand new world, but this game does things very differently. If anything, it's very minimalistic as soon as you start. And surprisingly, that's a very common theme with this game, minimalistic. Now, this is both good and bad, but I'll get to those parts later. Other than being minimalistic in the way it approaches you, it also makes sure that it doesn't front load you with a lot of things in the beginning, which I thought was a very clean but good design. It doesn't load you with a bunch of text that you have to read at the beginning. It doesn't overwhelm you with all these mechanics and things that you have to learn at first. It actually puts everything bit by bit, and also it tells you things by voice rather than having it just scroll up at the bottom or pop up in as a tooltip somewhere else on the screen. Then when that's finished, it introduces you to the first town that you started. Once you reach this point, you're pretty much going to just take on quests and get more gear, then rinse and repeat. Ironically, it's from here on out where you start to see what makes this game different from other MMOs. The next thing I want to talk about is the battle system. The way it works, it's very nice. It's very fast paced, but it's not as fluid as it may seem on camera. Like, the way you may see me play it or anybody else play it, it may seem like it's just like really smooth, but you'll notice that there are times when there's little hitches in your game, like in your comboing, or you can't run, jump, and attack, or you can't do certain things like that, and it gets a little annoying because it's like you'd expect that from a game like this. But it's just something to keep in mind that sometimes the movement and combat can be a little awkward. Now, don't get me wrong, despite the little hitches here and there, the combat system is actually pretty fun. I mean, like, it's kind of like a ragtagish kind of DMC meets like an RPG, because you know you have your skills assigned to keys and whatnot, but you can chain certain skills together. And if you actually go to your skill tree, you'll actually see at the lower center, I believe it is, where you'll see that you can actually put in skills in certain areas, and then all you have to do is press Z, similar to how Terra is. You can just press Z to just do those skills, but if you don't want to just press one button to just continue chaining your skills, you can actually put other skills in other places by actually tapping the buttons as they pop up on the screen, which will actually change as you battle. One thing I especially love about the skill system in this game is it isn't like the way most RPGs are, where you just press the button and the skill plays out the whole way by itself. Some skills actually require you to actually click or aim in certain directions or do something within a certain timer, which I think is really cool, and I really want to see them expand on this. I want to see where you can, for example, with Lily, she has this demon that comes out of her back with Scythe. I would like to see the demon come out and be able to be like a mini demon trigger or something like that, devil trigger, however they call it in Devil May Cry. But something like that where you actually have influence, or a lot more influence, over the way your skills are performed. One thing that I'm really fond of, and this may seem a little weird, but it's the fact that your skills can be interrupted. For example, some of the attacks and skills that you may use, you can dodge out of to cancel, or do certain things to cancel out of it. And or if you're in a certain spot where you shouldn't be and you're doing a skill and an enemy smacks you, they can smack you right out of that, and basically you'll lose the skill and you'll still hit cooldown. The reason why I kind of like this is because it makes you have to think about how you're going to use your skills and where, and instead of just spamming it and just pressing every button you can as fast as you could. I really do like that touch that they added here. But that does remind me, one thing that does annoy me while you're battling is the camera angling can get really poor at times. And not just at times, but it can happen frequently. Like, there'll be times where you're fighting and your camera view will just clip into a wall and you won't be able to see through it. And that can really, since this is like a position, action, fast-paced battle system, that can really do a lot of damage to you. That can harm you a lot and mess you up in fights. And I kind of hope they do something about that because I mean it really is glaring at times, especially in certain places. Hopefully this gives you a good idea on how the battle system really is in Soul Worker. Like I said, I can't really complain, but there are some things that do need to be fixed. The next thing I want to talk about will be the crafting system and quest systems and the way you get loot. In most games, the way you usually get loot is you find it in the dungeon and you pick it up and you go and use it, or you have to unseal it or whatever. In this game, they take somewhat of a different approach. Some gear you can actually just find in the dungeons and just go on with it. But like if you really want the good gear, you're gonna have to craft it. And when the way it is with crafting, it's very weird because like you get the materials all over the place, you know, to make the stuff that you need. But it's the blueprints that are actually a little unique because in this game there's a weird memory system where when you go into certain areas you'll notice your screen literally grays out in front of an item, and you'll pick up the item and the item will just vanish. You don't know where it goes, but it goes into this kind of like database called memory where you actually get to read up on that item's past or whatever. And if you collect all the ones that you need from that certain area, you could actually craft certain costume pieces. Well, not from memory, but through something else, you can actually craft weapons. Sometimes you find the blueprints just lying in the dungeons. And I think that's a very cool way of doing things because most games will either have you go and beat some massive boss and grind him 20 times or go and complete this weird quest. But with this, it allows the game to kind of build into itself, and it kind of like it's interweaving with itself, so to speak, for lack of better wording. And because of this, like I said, it's just a really well thought out way of doing things. I especially love the memory system. The intense graying out of the screen I think is a little much, but nonetheless I think it's something that's good because it gives you more reasons to go back into a dungeon and look for things or go and do things. Next, I'm going to talk about the achievement system. This is something that I've kind of wanted since like the 360 days, you know, when achievements first became big on consoles, etc. When you actually complete achievements here, you actually get something for it. You don't just get a little medal or anything. You actually get like money, blueprints, boxes, and etc. And I think that's really cool because of the fact that it gives you a reason to actually go and do those stupid little things that they're telling you to do. Like, hey, go strengthen this 7 times, or go sell 10 items, or go buy 90 potions. When they give you things like that, it motivates you more to actually go and do those. And on top of it, when you actually complete the achievements, it's not that you just complete the achievements and you call it a day. There's actually like a tally or whatever. Like there's 2 sets of achievements. You have your individual achievements, and then you have your like, for lack of better wording, grand total achievements. Okay, so you've completed this many achievements in this area, you've completed this many achievements in that area, and then you get complete outfits and whatnot from that. So it's just, like I said, I think that's just a really great way of using achievements to its fullest. When it comes to missions, though, this is where I feel like it gets a little weak. When it comes to actually going back into the dungeons, things change up and get really different. Like, there's been a time where I actually had to go into one stage 3 different times, and each time I went in, it was a completely different thing. And it wasn't that the difficulty changed or whatever. No, like, for example, if I went on stage 1-3, I had to do stage 1-3 3 times. And the first time it was kill the boss. The second time it was free this guy. And then the third time it was disable this bomb. And I thought that was really cool. But when you get into the towns, the missions that you get there, the quests, usually are talk to this person, then talk to the person next to me, and then talk back to me again, and then go to another person, talk to them, and then come back to me, and then talk to me, and then get another quest from me, talk to another person. And that got really annoying after a while. It was like, I didn't come here to just talk to everybody in town. I want to go into the dungeons and do what I have to do. Yes, it's free exp and whatnot, but like, when you see a game like this and you see that kind of a battle system and whatnot, you kind of want to go and just beat the heck out of things. You know, you don't want to sit there and talk to people all day. Like, why am I doing a quest for you to talk to the person that's next to you when you could have talked to them yourself? Are they not talking to you? What, are you guys having an issue? So that's just my little gripe there, so to speak. Next, I'll talk about the auxiliary features, the features that I don't feel were too big, but did stand out enough for me to notice them and say, hey, this could be something in the future. The first one is the My Room feature. Basically, you've seen this in games like Get Amp 2 and etc., where I believe it was Get Amp, where you can actually build your room, buy furniture, and rearrange your own apartment, and whatnot. This game has that, and I don't see that too often, but I thought it stood out a lot because like this kind of game having that they're just two opposite ends of a coin. You don't really see that too often. So that was something I wanted to make a quick mention of. Then the next one is the AR cards, which I believe they're called Akishi Records. I don't hold me to that, but they're basically these cards that you use to summon out either creatures to attack for you, or you just leave in your in your possession that actually grant you bonuses or buffs or whatnot. And I thought that was pretty cool, but I would like to see this fleshed out a little bit more before I could actually really care more about it. Then after that, the next thing is well, this isn't really a feature or something that stood out, but it is something that stood out, but it wasn't a feature. The inventory in the game is awfully small, but not the fact that like you don't have much space, but it's just you get so much stuff that after a while your inventory just floods out. Like if anything, I recommend that if you're going to play this game and you're going to invest a lot of time crafting and whatnot, just don't waste any time. Buy out and max out your inventory and do the same thing for your vault, because believe it or not, it's going to fill up way faster than you can even blink. I mean, it's really fast at times, and it gets annoying to try to manage between all of that. Another cool thing that I want to mention really quickly that you get in this game are like support characters. They actually come in and they take the place of other party members who basically, if there's room in the party, who will come in and help heal you or fight with you or whatever, or even just fight for you. And I thought that was pretty cool because it's like not a lot of games do that, and this, because they did this, they allow players to really play how they want. They can either play solo or play with groups, or if there's somebody missing from the crew, those support characters can kind of step in for them. And I thought that was just another quick mention that I'd like to just put out there. Now, with all this that I mentioned, there are a few things that kind of bother me with this game, but this is beta, so I can't really say much about this now, but I just want to voice my concern. The first thing is there's no PvP as of now. They said they're going to bring one in, but the way the battle system works and everything, I kind of see it hard to fit PvP in. So that's just a mild concern I have. The next thing is the small roster. Like, they only announced that there's going to be 6 people. The next 2 people that we're going to get, other than the 4 that we have now, are Hammerstall, which I'm so glad she's back. She was the girl with the big bludgeoning thing, whatever that was, from the first trailer that you saw. And what was the other guy's name? It was this dude with like big gauntlets. And I'm glad to see that they're adding 2 more. I'm hoping that they actually add a couple more people after that, or do some kind of promotion system or something, because if there's only 6 characters, that can actually be a little bit of a, like, it can burn out quick. Like, the game will burn out quick in a sense. Then after that, it's a stamina system, but games are doing this nowadays, like all of them, especially questing games. I personally just don't like stamina systems. So, where after a while you can't play that character, you have to log into another one, or if the actual account has stamina, then you have to actually log off for the day. I just don't like those. I don't ever believe that there should be I'm sorry for the forwarding there. I don't believe in game developers telling players how much they are allowed to play, and vice versa. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. You should want players to be able to play your game for as long as they possibly can. As long as it's in good health and whatnot, not doing anything that's potentially hurting themselves. Now, my final 2 concerns, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who has these concerns, is how much the game has changed from the first preview or the first trailer that they showed. Yes, I understand that a lot of polish has been added and whatnot, and that's a good thing. But the one thing that I'm not too fond of is how much the game has changed in terms of the direction it was originally going into. When the game first launched, like its first trailer, it had this really, really nice, dark, mellow vibe. But now it's kind of gone into this weird safe route that I feel is a little too safe. Remember how I said before, the game is really minimalistic and it's good and bad. This is kind of what I meant by bad. Like, the fact that they had this really unique idea and really unique experience and they just cut all that out and just left it to be the way it is now, it felt like it was missing a lot. And to me, like I said, I just feel like it's too safe to, because it's just like everything feels rather been there, done that. And I kind of would like to see them go back to that old feel again. I don't know. It's just me. It's just me, I guess. The next thing that I'm really not too fond of is the skill combo tree. And not the when you do the combos, but the actual layout of all the skills. I feel like it's just a little too linear as well. Like, in terms of building, there's not really a lot of diversity that's allowed to be there, and I kind of wish that was a little, expanded on. Hopefully, that will be expanded on in the future. And finally, the last thing is probably just the fact that the stages are just rather linear. Like, you just go from one end of the stage to the other. You don't really deviate a lot. You don't really go in different directions. It's usually just like a straight line, and that kind of bothers me as well. All in all, if I had to rate this game, I would have to give it a 7 out of 9. I'm not going to go 10 because 10 is even. You can't hit middle ground with that. So 7 out of 9 being pretty fun. Yes, I would recommend this to a friend. Yes, I would recommend this to as many players as I could. However, I would have to let them know ahead of time some of the things that they may run into, just like I'm doing with you now. This game is good, and it's very strong with how it presents itself. Everything is really easy to learn. It's really fast-paced. I especially love the way the UI and everything is, and how there's so much to craft and whatnot. And like I said, there's just plenty you can do. But the way the battle system is at times, it's very awkward, and the way the stages are rather linear, and even just the inventory filling up so fast can be really annoying. And of course, let's not forget to mention that the fact that since this is IP locked, that's just going to be a real big hurdle for a lot of people. The skill combo tree could use some work, but like I said, that's something that could probably be improved on in the future. And like I mentioned, compared to where this first started to where it is now, I feel like right now Soul Worker is in a direction that's just a little too safe for them. They need to come back and take a few more risks, because I think they would see a lot more rewards out of it. But other than that, yeah, like, I really can't wait to see how this game's gonna go out. And just like I did with Cosmic League, I'm gonna give this game a month. If this game continues to push through where it's going, then you'll definitely see more content from it. If not, then it was fun while it lasted. But if anything, thanks for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Be safe, have fun, dive into imagination. Catch you guys later.